the more you start doing certain things, the more some things become unconscious. And unconscious rapport and language that you're going to learn over these 7 days is something that has to become unconscious. And it becomes unconscious, meaning automatic. One-on-one first. And then you would notice that you go into a meeting, you go into a group of people, and you suddenly have so much rapport with people, and you don't even know what you did. You didn't do anything other than just connect with each of them individually. And if you can consciously do it one-on-one, at some time, it just becomes unconscious so naturally. You see couples like in a restaurant, and you notice that when they move, they're like one leans forward and the other would move forward, and then you notice, and it's very interesting. You go to meetings and notice that there are a large table and people are sitting around, and then you see two people really in unconscious rapport with each other, and one person would lean out and pull the notepad towards him, and in the other corner of the room, someone else would pull the water bottle towards them. And it may not be the same object, but it's the same category of movement. And especially when people sway together, move together, you see that like it's as if they're like unconsciously just like connected to each other. They don't know it. They don't know that they're copying the movement of the other person. It's just so natural. It happens unconsciously. And when that happens, we say that two individuals are in unconscious rapport. Now, you can get into unconscious rapport by using language, by using the way you use your body, by the way you breathe. You could get in and out of unconscious rapport with anybody you choose. And if you learn to do it targeted with a single person, and you do it enough number of times, over a period of time, it becomes a skill. Because remember, all of these things have to happen unconsciously. So a lot of things that we teach you here is not meant for you to go and think, now I have to be in unconscious rapport. Let me mirror this person. And, by the time you try mirroring, the train would have left. It has to happen unconsciously. It has to, like you have an example of, all of us have an example of learning something new, like driving a car or driving a motorcycle or something that involves many things working together at the same time. Even now, it's very funny, when you watch someone who's learning a car for the first time, some people just learn it effortlessly, but some people, it's a mess. They're like, and thank God these days you don't have this, this gear-changing cars. And back then, it used to be a mess, and like, I have to press this also, I have to do this also, and then, the first few times they release the clutch, the engine would go duck, 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 and sometimes people even feel, is this even possible? There's too many things to remember. But then after 6 months, they're not even looking at the road. They're looking at the volume control, and one hand is driving. And your unconscious learning works in that particular way. In the beginning, it looks like, if you just notice how children learn to walk, oh my God, if you have to just break down the mechanics, when they first lift their head up like that, can you imagine for a moment what a wonderful feeling it would be? The child is always crawling, and the child lifts the neck up like this, and suddenly, like they were all along lying down like that, and and then they lift their head up, and they could move like this. It's like suddenly, from looking everything up, they're now able to look straight and look down, and it's marvelous. The first thing, if children can lift their head up, they can walk. It's wonderful that particular way, because they can hold the neck straight for hours together, and there is no pain at all. And I like to mirror people. When I meet someone, I like to become them for a moment. So when you mirror someone, you kind of feel what they feel. Once I was in a country and I mirrored this lion. It was sleeping, and yeah. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like a lion. You see lion and they're ferocious and they're like huge. And this one felt like one docile lion. And I later found out apparently they used to drug these lions in that particular country. A horrible thing to do. So anyway, and so I mirror children when they're learning to walk and they lift their head up like that. It's a beautiful thing. First of all, when you mirror them, your mind is so blank. It's like what John Grinder calls the know-nothing state. It's like so empty and so full of potential for new learning and possibilities. But it's fantastic. If you ever get an opportunity to see a child who's just learning to walk, lift up their head like that, mirror them, you suddenly feel like, your neck, like something has been taken away from your body, like all the things that are pulling your neck like this and like that. Even if you don't have any pain, even if sometimes you think you're in the silent room, and then you put on like these headphones, and then, or especially if you connect it to mics which amplify the sounds in the room, and suddenly you start hearing all kinds of, insects from the other house and crickets, and then the air moving. And the interesting thing is, once you've heard that and you unplug the earphone, you suddenly start hearing the sounds that wasn't there before. You were in a silent room. And, so when I mirror a child, so my neck feels free, there's no problem. But when you mirror a child, when the child lifts their head up like that, and, especially when they're crawling and learning to walk, and suddenly you feel so relaxed and so easy. And all those minor, strain in the muscle here, there, and the posture, everything that you didn't notice before suddenly comes flooding at you. And then you have the opportunity to just relax those things even more. So it's wonderful mirroring a child. But, so the child first learns by lifting the head up like that. And so when I sometimes help people who, limp and they have these things in their head where, they had a brain damage or something and they cannot walk, the first thing I correct for them is how to hold the head straight. And I've noticed that you do that for most people, their ability to walk just becomes naturally better. And I think that's one of the things that Moshe did. I have not studied much of his work, but one of the things he used to do is he used to go back and look at how do people naturally do these things. Like, you can study paralyzed children, or you can study children who already walk. And what do they do naturally that the children who are paralyzed don't do? And one of the things, Richard found out is that they hold their neck straight up. And then, once they have enough strength, they hold on to something and they stand. And when they do, just imagine for a moment, you just have barely enough strength in your legs. And if you were holding on to something and you stand, you would feel the entire force of that weight. And oh my God, if you have to lift one leg, the entire weight shifts to the other side. I'm so proud of how children learn. I mean, I think most adults, if they have to do so much to learn something, they would be like, "Ye mera liye nahi hai." Like, yeah, this is not for me. But I think the child, is curious, wants to take that first step and see what's ahead, and especially if parents are interesting parents who put their favorite dolls far away. Yeah. They want to make sure that they're going and getting it. And then slowly the muscles strengthen. And now we don't even pay attention to any of these things. We don't even feel the weight. We just work so effortlessly. The other day I was modeling, when I was in the USA, I met a photographer who's known for his work. He's a renowned photographer. He was walking along with us, and I just mirrored him. And it was as if he was not even touching the ground. He was floating, like so. There's no weight on the body. Because in their job, they have to just go in and come out without being noticed. And it was fantastic. But that was his natural walking. I didn't model him while he was working. He was just walking, and I felt curious, and I mirrored him, and I thought, wow, good strength, and good technique. And it's all about how do you balance your weight. The more you start doing certain things, the more some things become unconscious. And unconscious rapport and language that you're going to learn over these 7 days is something that has to become unconscious. And it becomes unconscious, meaning automatic, one-on-one first. And then you would notice that you go into a meeting, you go into a group of people, and you suddenly have so much rapport with people, and you don't even know what you did. You didn't do anything other than just connect with each of them individually. And if you can consciously do it one-on-one, at some time, it just becomes unconscious so naturally. I was once so obsessive about mirroring. is funny that, sometimes I go to restaurants and then once I was in a restaurant and we were just sitting, three of us, we were having a good time, and the waiter came in and I didn't even know I was in unconscious rapport with him, and I just had like a hiccup, like a jerk in my body, and he actually dropped his plate. So I told my unconscious at that time, I think you practice enough now. Now only get into rapport when you need to. There's some of my old videos where the cameraman, when I go down like this, the camera goes like that with me. So there was a time when I was so obsessed with it. And you're unconscious. Remember, I wasn't consciously practicing. It was so important that the unconscious took over, and it just happened so automatically. When I went to help like 100 children, and there's a video of that, where when they were, playing and hitting each other, it was in an underprivileged school, and they were falling down. And while I was walking on my way to the stage, in the video you could see that a part of my hand is mirroring a part of a group of the students, and a part of my leg is, the way I was walking was mirroring another group of students. My tonality, and I was stammering and I was speaking some broken English. Linguistically, I was mirroring their language, and within the first 1 minute, I was in rapport with everyone. And then I change into my personality. I go into the things I want to talk about. I change my state. I'm so inspired and excited about the future. And then you see all these children who are, only thinking about the problems in their world and where they come from, suddenly excited to be doctors and engineers. And then, of course, we had a group of, social commit team members who had come, and we changed the trajectory of their life. Now, did I do any of this consciously? Not at all. But did I do it systematically? Yes. Was it unconscious? Yes. And the only reason, and I don't even know I did these things, the only reason I knew it was because one of my team members was playing a video, and I'm like, that sounds like me, but that's not me. I'm like, who is this guy? I thought someone, started like, I like people mirroring me, and so that they can develop a capability. So mirror me, develop a capability, and go do your stuff, and do it better than anybody else in your own style. And then somebody else using my words and my thoughts in the exact sequence. Who is this guy? And then it was me. and that's when I realized that I had mirrored them so deeply for that moment, that I had become them. I didn't even know that. I had no clue. So all of these things that you're learning, I know from experience that for many of you here will become unconscious. You wouldn't even know that you're doing it. Most people become aware of some of the things when they come for the second up. You come the second time, and suddenly your memory, you do an exercise here, and suddenly like, hey, didn't I do this like the last week, the month before? And then that's what you call the second up as capability awareness.
We never like to complete our video without giving you the opportunity to personally evolve and launch your legacy. Imagine for a moment, what would it feel like when you are impacting the world positively so much and enhancing your business, your health, your family, and legacy? All of this together simultaneously, continuing to grow leaps and bounds, fast and smoothly. If you've got the right motives, we believe Antano and Harini will be able to help you launch your legacy in compressed time. Get excellence installation-based personal evolution and keep making a difference, starting with yourself.